Welcome back. Right now, we are going to focus on one of the top children's podcasts that's educational and a lot of fun. In fact, they've written a book as well to go along with this podcast. I spoke with the two hosts of the show recently, so here's more. Based on the #1 kids podcast, Wow in the World, comes the new book, Wow in the Wild, The Amazing World of Animals. Today I'm speaking with hosts and authors Mindy Thomas and Guy Raz. They are taking readers on a hilarious, fact-filled, and highly illustrated journey through the animal kingdom. Guy and Mindy, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Mindy, I'm going to start with you. Before we get into the book, tell me more about the podcast, Wow in the World.
So Wow in the World is this science adventure show. It's kind of a cartoon for your ear. And everything that we do is rooted in real peer-reviewed academic science research. So scientific journals that are way too complicated, but also really fascinating. We want to break that science down for kids, and then we share it wrapped up in this narrative story with this world that we've built in Wow in the World, where Guy and I are kind of your guides. We have a pigeon that drives us around everywhere. We've got a nosy neighbor that's always getting in our business, and we have him do science experiments. We use him as our guinea pig sometimes. I have a hot pepper eating wrestling grandma named Grandma G-Force. So it's part cartoon, but also based in real hard science. And it's a comedy.
Yep.
It's serious science.
Guy, absolutely. And Guy, tell me about your involvement in the podcast. What initially got you involved?
Well, Mindy and I were collaborating. I'm a longtime broadcaster. Mindy's a longtime broadcaster. I make mostly business programs for grownups, including a show called How I Built This. And Mindy has a show on Sirius XM, Kids Place Live for kids. I was a big fan of that show. And about 8 years ago, I started to come on to Mindy's show, and we would put together a science segment for kids. And one day, about six or 7 years ago, we were all together on a hike, our families, and we started to talk about, maybe let's turn this into something bigger. Let's turn this into a podcast. Let's make something that could be so engaging that it could actually draw kids away from screens, that it could create as Mindy said, a cartoon in your mind. And that was really the genesis of Wow in the World. And today we have a production company called Tinkercast. We produce 5 shows. We have live shows. We have books. We have an educational technology platform we're working on. So it's just been this incredible journey that really started with a collaboration over science a little less than a decade ago.
And Mindy, this podcast has been incredibly successful. What would you say is the key to how well it's doing and how much kids love it?
You know, I think that we take silliness very seriously. And I think that I grew up not loving science. I thought it was really dry, and I didn't know. Would learn these scientific concepts, but not how they were used in practice. So I think by giving kids some agency in the world and seeing how what they're learning in school is used in inventions and experiments, and to realize that scientists are so much like them. They're not afraid of asking ridiculous questions and following their curiosity to the ends of the earth and failing, not knowing things. I think that is something that we really want kids to understand, that science is not this far off thing. It is accessible, and it is for them. And they could one day be the next inventors and scientists of tomorrow.
And Guy, tell me about the book, Wow in the World. Fun, it's factual. I'd love to just dig into it.
Yeah. So this is our second book in the Wow in the World collection, if you will. It's called Wow in the Wild. Our first book was about the human body, about we human animals, and this is about our fellow animal species. So there are over 9 million animal species that we know of on planet Earth, and we couldn't obviously talk about all of them, but we broke it down into every major category of animal species. And we essentially go on this magical adventure-filled field trip through the animal kingdom, where we want kids to not only laugh and be engaged, but to learn really incredible things about animals. Like, for example, did you know that a cheetah, which is the fastest land animal on planet Earth, can literally change direction in midair when it's chasing its prey? I mean, it's like a superhero movie. Like, you could imagine Michael Bay like making a $300 million blockbuster about the cheetah turning around in midair. And that happens every single day on our planet. Just all these amazing things that we learned as we were writing this book. And now we put it out on the page, not just for kids, but for their grown-ups too.
Mindy, do you have a favorite part in the book, Wow in the Wild?
Oh, so many parts. We've got comic panels. We've got a fake jellyfish restaurant menu. We've got we took a cue from Us Weekly magazine and have a segment called Mammals. They're just like us. We have fashion spreads of trend alert, horns. There are so many parts of this book. I think my favorite part is that every page kind of feels like a little party, and you can open it up. You're never going to be bored. It's a visual feast for your eyes. You're going to learn something on every page, and every page is kind of a surprise. It's different throughout. We have a whole section on birds that's laid out like that flight manual that you get on the airplane. And so, maybe Jack Teagle's illustrations might be my favorite part of the whole book.
And Guy, this book was just released. I can't wait for everyone to get it. Where can we find it? And also, how can we listen to the podcast?
Christine, you can find Wow in the World wherever you get your podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music, on Spotify, wherever you listen. It's available everywhere for free, always. And you can find our new book, Wow in the Wild, wherever you get books, at Barnes & Noble or your local bookstore, your independent bookseller, on Amazon, or at our website, tinkercast.com.
Well, thank you so much, Mindy and Guy, for being here today. So looking forward to reading the book and learning more about the podcast. I really love what you're doing for kids and teaching them these great facts in such a fun way. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Christine.